This is 90.9 WBUR, and I'm Tiziana Deering. A cross between a summer camp for geniuses and an episode of Survivor. That's how Scott Kirsner described this week's local biotech conference. More than 500 students and business leaders took a ferry to network on a Boston Harbor island. The summit took place as federal funding cuts to research and healthcare are challenging the industry. Scott's a columnist from our editorial partner, MassLive. He's here to tell us more. Welcome back.
Ahoy, Tiziana.
Ahoy, ahoy, Scott. So this is a biotech conference, and there is a bit of a dark cloud over the industry right now. We've seen huge losses in federal funding for scientific research, threats to higher education, and empty lab space. Is Boston kind of facing a downturn or looking at a threat from other cities or even other countries?
No, I don't think there is like a golden country or a golden city right now where everybody is rushing and feeling like there's funding for scientific research and there's funding for biotech startups. This is kind of a globally challenged moment. There was kind of this theme at the event of Boston has been assumed to be one of the global capitals of biotech. Many of the people at this event were from other countries and other states. And so there was kind of like a sniffing around or a hunting around for like, where is the best place for my company to be located, or maybe for me to take my career if I'm a scientist. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. You could definitely find entrepreneurs who said, hey, I just signed a deal for some funding, some of it actually from federal agencies like the National Science Foundation. Oliver Dodd, the co-founder and executive director of Nucleate, probably said it best. These folks are going to stay optimistic.
I feel like sometimes politics gets interjected into the conversation too often, right? There are no pro-cancer Americans. What is being done in these labs is foundational science that leads to advancements that benefit societies. They don't just benefit Americans, they benefit every human.
So did you meet some really exciting or promising people there?
I met somebody who's working on a new kind of more targeted treatment for cervical cancer that he was explaining would also get rid of the human papillomavirus that might cause a recurrence. We were walking across the island and I ran into somebody who's developing brain implants to monitor epilepsy and ideally understand kind of the source of an epileptic seizure and interrupt it. And then finally, we were sitting around the campfire and we met these two Albanian twins that had co-founded a company, and it was focusing on getting cancer drugs more directly to tumors so that you'd have fewer side effects.
So understood that you don't think that there's any particular place right now that is awash in funding and is going to suck up all the biotech and life sciences. At the same time, I've spoken with Jake Auchincloss, Massachusetts congressman in the past, for example, about the competition between U.S. and China. Right. I wonder, what will you watch in this industry now, Scott, in the next coming months?
Well, you always have to follow the money, and there are companies locally that are raising money and potentially are going to grow and fill up this laboratory space. And so that's story number one for me over the rest of 2025. But you mentioned China, and China really is story number two. First of all, there's kind of this bargain hunting where a lot of pharma companies and biotech companies in the U.S. are looking at potential drugs that have been developed really inexpensively in China, have gone through some clinical trials, may be promising, and they may try to license those drugs and bring them to patients in the U.S. But then there is also the competition with China, just in many senses, artificial intelligence and biotech, this feeling of maybe we shouldn't be collaborating and pulling drugs out of China. We need to be competing with them for scientific dominance. So that's the other story going forward.
Scott Kirsner, columnist for our editorial partner, MassLive. Thanks so much. And we'll link to Scott's piece on our website at WBUR.org.